Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance. And this resistance video is a sponsored video sponsored by Mary for Marissa. And here's Marissa's story. Hi, Ollie. Why do I feel so fortunate in the midst of all this upheaval and chaos? Number one, I found you in this community. Number two, I somehow obtained a moment of strength that allowed me to reach out and ask for a sponsor. As you well know, asking for anything is simply terrifying. But I sucked it up, put it out there, got a response, and here we are. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Marissa. I am 49 years old, and I am now in week 9 of no contact with an enormous, complicated, very depraved, and widespread system of interpersonal dysfunction and abuse. I am ready to speak. I owe it to the innocent child I did not know how to protect until a few short months ago, myself. I will be honest and admit that it's becoming clearer every day that the stories I have attached myself to and have identified with all these decades may or may not be true. I am experiencing rapid fire flashbacks, and my entire history is rather fragmented and completely disorganized at the moment. So you're not even sure if what you're remembering is accurate. I would wonder if there's some type of substance abuse here. I come from 2 narcissistic parents still living, and am the scapegoated sibling of an older brother golden child. I have been divorced and from a completely different type of narc, from a different set of narc family dynamics, and have 2 young teenagers that are estranged from each other and myself. Before I go forward, I will say this. I have made horrible, shameful, destructive mistakes throughout my entire life. I have hurt people enormously. I have behaved in the most despicable ways at the expense of many people's, most importantly my children's, personal boundaries. I've been all the things I've always been terrified of. I've been the alcohol abuser, the thief, the liar, the anorexic, the obese, the money pit, the adulteress, the irresponsible borderline mom, and the careless forever teenager blundering through others' lives with wild abandon. That being said, I've also experienced strength, health, joy, pride, dignity, and moments of stunning connections with countless others. Yeah, because you have borderline personality disorder. I'm sorry to tell you this, but this sounds like borderline personality disorder, Marissa. My family of origin, unfortunately, does not happen to be my tribe is all. I understand now that this happens in families, sadly, and I'm not interested in placing blame on anyone. This was the story I was led to believe. My parents both grew up in different towns in the same New England state and met as young teens in the 1950s. My mother, the gorgeous prom queen, and my father, the brilliant junior mayor. Looking for all the world like the perfect rising star, unstoppable pair. They both graduated college with professional degrees and were married 1 week later. Secured careers as a social worker, mom, and a CPA dad. My dad was able to dodge the draft, of course. They bought new cars and moved into a division of my father's grandparents' home. Maternal and paternal extended family, all present and accounted for within the immediate area. I landed into an upwardly mobile, middle-class suburban situation. We, as a family of 4, settled into a rather rural suburban area. We were among the more wealthy of the community, and my parents looked down upon everyone. I was told before my brother was born, my mom had 2 miscarriages. I was so young when I heard this that I had no idea what a miscarriage was. I remember thinking of Rosemary's Baby and the paperback novel cover that depicted the devil in the baby carriage. That's really strange because I remember my mother had some friends that had miscarriages, and that was exactly how almost I pictured it. What a like a an evil baby in a carriage. Strange. I didn't know about the book though. That damn book was always laying around scaring the shit out of me. They would tell of two dead babies, one male, one female. I honestly thought that I had two dead siblings somewhere. I used to wish they had lived so I wouldn't have to. The story of my brother's gestation was as if the Lord himself had impregnated her. The story always went, I was worried and terrified the whole time I was pregnant with him, so afraid something would go wrong. Golden Child brother, baby brother stories included. He never cried. He gave up his pacifier on his own. So beautiful, everyone's favorite. Story after story of His Majesty. All was bliss until I showed up. There are no stories of my mom's pregnancy with me, except for the fact that I almost killed her. She apparently became very sick after having me, C-section, and had to receive some sort of blood transfusion. The story goes that it was bad blood. I kid you not. As the story goes, she was unable to recover from my birth for quite some time. She was unable to care for me as a newborn, and her mom took over. I have no memory of this. Where the fuck was my dad? Eventually, I made it to the compound where, according to legend, I proceeded to ruin everyone's lives. I cried. As an infant, they always told me that I cried so much that they would leave the house, go outside to the yard where I couldn't be heard. One of my earliest memories is of me zipped into one of those massive feety pajama zip-up things laying in my crib, totally overheated. No one came. I wrestled my own infant self out of those pajamas. Not quietly or happily, mind you, which always made matters worse. I never cried for my mom, ever. I cried for my dad. I guess I knew he was more likely to show up than she ever would be. He is like your dad, Ollie, the covert enabler. I believed he was my ally up until only a couple of months ago. So I'm going to do something differently here because I realize if I don't, I will end up right back where I came from, drugged out of my mind and traumatized to the point of no return. I feel like I may be reaching out for the wrong reasons. I am getting healthier from my withdrawal symptoms from over medications, and for decades are subsiding. Great. So you're still going through withdrawal symptoms, I guess, from pills. So it was an addiction problem, and pill addictions are bad. I am afraid I will find myself searching out ways to fuck it all up because I'm still feeling responsible for the behavior of my family. My parents are very sick and have my 15-year-old son with them without my consent. Okay, but if you're coming off pill addiction, how could you be the best place for your son to be? I don't know exactly what the situation is here, but you're coming off a pill addiction. So I don't know if that's gonna line up with what's best for your son right now. My son is so injured from his narc father, whom my filthy rich parents support, along with his entire narc extended family. I know what that's like. My ex-husband, narc, kidnapped my daughter, 13 years old, and moved her across the country, and I haven't seen or heard from her for over a year. My parents have tons of money and they chose to side with my ex, whom they thought was a piece of shit before I left him. My son, the oldest, is the target here. His dad discarded him almost 2 years ago and has split from his sister, yet has terrorized this poor kid in regards to me. I cannot get near my children to protect them. But who's protecting you? I mean, like, you're at a point here where you're just now getting healthier from your withdrawal symptoms. Okay? You got to worry about protecting yourself before you can protect anybody else here. All right? Because you're taking on another battle instead of getting to the core of how you ended up addicted to pills. And I'm imagining it comes from your family, based on what you're telling me here. The coldness, the abandonment. I get it, the black sheep. But, at some point it took on to a borderline personality disorder type behavior from you. And again, you're still displaying this as, look, you're still really not taking responsibility here because you're not realizing you're not well enough yourself. You're not well enough to save yourself, let alone your children or anything else. Besides which, you've said you've done all these horrible things. Okay? You may be at a point now where you've lied and cheated and stole any credibility you have left with your children. Anything. There's nothing you're going to be able to say to them that they're going to be like, oh, okay, now I get it. No, you're going to have to be patient and work on yourself and make sure yourself is a beacon of stability. That you can show them that you are stable and normalized. There's nothing, by you going to them and trying to prove anything to them at this point is counterproductive. Because they're going to say you're crazy, this is just the same old, no respect for boundaries. None. I get it. You're saying that, the one father took the one child across country, the other one, your parents. But you said you've had all these problems, these addictions, the adultery, the stealing, the all of it. Okay, you got to understand. However you got there, you did those things. And you can't just go and say, well, this happened and that happened to your children at this point. The only chance you have is to make sure you're healing yourself and living by example. You can't protect them. You can barely protect yourself. Who gives a fuck about the story of my fucked up childhood? We all had the same garbage to deal with growing up. I don't think it will do anybody any good whatsoever to dredge up that shit show. Well, whatever that shit show is the reason why you're at the point you are at. So unless you're willing to go back and dredge all that up, none of this will change. None of it. I need to rescue my kids and no one will believe me because your credibility's eaten up. I get it. You're frustrated, but there's nothing you can do but be patient. You have to worry about yourself. They've gotten you, they've gotten you, and through your own behavior, to a point where you have no credibility left. By your own admission. That shit show is the answer to all this. Understanding that shit show is how you fix this. Not rushing in and I'm here to no. You're just healing now from from pill addiction. It is what it is. You got to understand. You got to be realistic about where you are and what's happened. If I make another false move in this area, these animals will eat them. I know it. Do you want to help me with this? I can't seem to find any other alienated mom, scapegoated daughter stories quite like this one. My kids are absolutely terrified of the one person who will protect them, me. Look, I understand how you feel about this. But you're not going to be able to prove that to them. You're not. Not in this condition, not already. And the fact that like you're just healing now and you think you're going to go rushing in there, you're not. You have to be realistic about what happened here. And I gotta be I gotta be as blunt and honest as possible because if I sit here and I try to blow smoke up your ass, say yeah you gotta fight, no, it's only going to make you look crazier and hurt you worse. You have to take a breath and accept reality. You have to work on your own stability, and you are far, 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 far from that point. Far from it. If your children are terrified of you at this point, I'm sorry, this is the point. They're going to have to get over that terror on their own. You can't fix that at this point. You can't. I am not supported by any of the people who are destroying my children. I have no money, and even if I did, my dad is king shit and will manipulate anyone and anything to save his own starry ass from his cretin wife, my mother. Ollie, this is a hostage situation. My parents live in the suburbs of Philadelphia. You know the area, I'm sure, being from Jersey. They not only have money, but they live among some of those really old money and pretend to be that. They are not, but they look it, and the system they have in place is fierce. They have my kid, who is very disturbed, on drugs, suicidal, and afraid of them because of me. I'm sorry, afraid of me because of them. But he's on drugs, suicidal. I mean, look, Marissa, I'm going to be honest. If you're just getting over drug withdrawal and your kid's on drugs and suicidal, I'm sorry. Like, I have to be honest with you. You got to work on yourself. You can't. You got to accept that you might be a big part of that. They give him money to buy drugs and he is killing himself. He is screaming out for help and I can't do it. Not one of these people will let it be near him. I have taken my ex-husband to court 3 times for contempt of our custody order. 3 times he was found guilty. 3 times. There was no one that will enforce anything. However, the more I push, the worse it gets for my kids. What the fuck do I do here? At the very least, helping me come up with a way to get some kind of message to my kids. It's that serious, Ollie. Marissa. Look. You have to accept the situation for the reality it is. You doing anything in regards to reaching out to them like that, there is only going to be used against you. It can only be used against you by your own admission. By your own admission Marissa, because I'm reading this over the 5 emails you sent me. I'm sorry. I'm reading this over, and by your own admission here, here we go. There you go. I mean, by your own admission, Marissa, you've been, you've made horrible, shameful, destructive mistakes throughout your entire life. You've hurt people enormously, and you've behaved in the most despicable ways at the expense of many people. Most importantly, my children, personal boundaries. You can't just fix that, Marissa. You can't just fix it. I have been all of the things I have always been terrified of. I've been the alcohol abuser, the thief, the liar, the anorexic, the obese, the money pit, the adulteress, the irresponsible borderline mom, and the careless forever teenager blundering through others' lives with wild abandon. You can't just flip a switch on that, Marissa. That's the most honest I think you've ever been with yourself. Right there. That's the most honest you've ever been with yourself, because to me this is borderline personality disorder. And I think because it's borderline personality disorder, you can't make that connection of how, even though you're saying it, you're still not, just because you're saying it doesn't excuse it. This is why I say borderline personality disorder is the worst. It's so destructive. You're getting over pill addiction. Your child's addicted to drugs. You have to accept the reality of the situation, Marissa. You have to fix yourself before any of this is possible. You have to say, yeah, you have to look inside yourself, Marissa, and say, yeah, this is really, really wrong the way I've lived, and I made these decisions. And because I made these decisions, I have to sit here now and wait and live a decent life and hope my children seek me out so I can show them I'm trying to change for real. You can't run in there and fix this. You can't. All your answers are in that past that you said, what's the point of dredging that up? You better dredge it up. Because any chance of saving this and saving yourself lies there. So, and that's the most honest assessment and the most honest opinion I can give you, Marissa. So thank you for writing in, and thank you, Mary, for sponsoring. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, or a Facebook live chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you guys. Without you, all of this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been The Narcissistic Resistance. Take care.